Mr. Marc Eng. Marc Eng is a fresh voice for the conservative movement, focusing on race relations and keeping a check on the media and political establishment. He created Asian to Asian B2B, a private sector-driven organization daring to be different, to innovate, to be action-oriented, to stand for what's right, with a focused vision to impart rock-solid conservative Asian values to modern society. Marc Eng lives in Southern California with his dog Pugsley and continues to organize events for conservative causes he supports, i.e. pro-life, veterans, health, freedom. He is currently working on his memoir, Minority Retort, set for a fall 2020 release, I'm getting that, which chronicles his journey from liberal to conservative. I welcome you now, Marc Eng.
Take this one and just kind of walk around a little. Thank you so much. And, so I know the work that the organizers and Sonya put into this. I mean, it's amazing. Look at this turnout. I never see this kind of turnout on an off-election year. I mean, really, this is amazing because this kind of tells me that the left has actually overreached enough to the point where we are so angry that on a March or April, it's already April, like right after a presidential election, we are out here gathering and pushing back on the overreach by Sacramento, by our local school districts. I mean, it's amazing. When I was listening to Harriet's presentation, I was just my jaw dropped. I mean, it's the one word that kept coming into my mind was, this is racist. I mean, there's no other way to paint this. Isn't the definition of racist preferring one race over another? And in this case, I've always said this. I run an Asian organization, and we have a very multicultural crowd. But I always tell white people, I said, you guys for the last 20 years have gotten the worst of it. And it's not okay to, and the more that you say, oh, I'm guilty, I have white guilt, and, yes, I'm going to pay for transgressions that my ancestors from like 3 generations ago or 4 generations ago, once you get into that mentality, you just let them win. You let evil win. And that needs to stop. And I'll tell you, I experienced this last summer, and that's really what I came to talk to you guys about. I chatted with Sonya and Harriet about how to, add value to this meeting tonight. And I want to talk to you guys about a point of members' elections. Yes, Biden won the state by 29 points. But simultaneously, that same electorate voted to shoot down affirmative action, which was Prop 16, by a landslide victory, 57-43. And I was on that campaign for Prop 16, so I want to share a few nuggets with you, and hope that you guys can run with this, because it really was a fascinating story how it all came about. I work very closely with my good friend Betty Chu. She wanted to come tonight but couldn't. She actually, the first thing with a proposition, and I want to give this to California School Choice, which will be the next speaker. Please take notes on this. The most important thing is on the ballot designation that we have it worded favorably to our side. And we went back and forth with Javier Becerra on this. The Attorney General was trying to play funny business, like they did with the gas tax. And remember the gas tax repeal, we lost that, surprisingly. But that is one of the most important points where you get that, you fight, you invest money early on to fight that legal battle to make sure that we keep the left in check. And get this, we didn't even get what we wanted originally. But when I looked at the ballot designation, as well as, we helped craft the ballot statement, the ballot argument, was the fact that the wording, I saw an opportunity where a lot of people did not see an opportunity in the messaging. I said, I think we're going to win this. I think that it's worded in a way that people are sick of all the race talk, especially here in California, because I think that we created a great society here in California where we're generally colorblind. And that is thanks to the pioneering work of my good friend Ward Connerly. And Ward was a UC regent, and in 1996 was instrumental in getting Prop 209 passed. And Prop 209 made sure that we do not discriminate based on racial preferences or gender or any other, non-merit-based factor when we do college admissions. And what this Prop 16 wanted to do was actually take this to the next level, because it wasn't just public school admissions. It wasn't just Cal State. It wasn't just UC system. It was also public sector hiring, whether it's regular jobs in the county or public sector contracting. So I said, wow, overreaching piece of legislation. They tried to sneak in through ACA 5 in right when the pandemic hit. And I said, this is what the left is trying to do. They try to sneak this stuff in when everyone else is distracted by other matters. But I said, wow, we have an opportunity. I was one of the few that was optimistic about the ballot language. I said, the more you race bait, the more people, patriots like us, wake up and see the race baiting for what it is. So what we did was, on the messaging side, it was very important that we started looking at, I think a lot of us, we're post-racial at this point. But I said a lot of people still have to learn. And this is our one opportunity, this election cycle, to start educating people in very simple ways through memes, through very short messages. I think conservatives have a very bad habit of being very wordy and verbose. Okay, we are way too esoteric. We start talking about policy. You know what? The average person don't care. So one of the things we did was we went down to the actual groups. So you want to talk about intersectionality that was mentioned in Harriet's bullet points there as part of critical race theory. Let's take that and let's turn it around on the left. So what we did was we courted certain groups, such as, so we knew that Asians, obviously, because this legislation would have hurt the Asians the most, because we are the most high achieving in terms of our test scores and all of the, merits. But I said, you cannot win this on Asian votes alone. There's not enough in this state. And we need to make this where it's a broad-based coalition of whites, Hispanics, and blacks as well, and bring them in. So what we found out through our research, and this is where you got to do your homework, but then once you get into the weeds on the homework, you got to communicate it in a very, very succinct fashion, or people won't hear the message. So one of them was a simple fact that, did you know that in the public sector, when it comes to county jobs, city jobs, municipal jobs, all of that, that it's actually black women are overrepresented? So guess what we did? We messaged out to black women and micro-targeted to them and said, you know what? You're going to lose your job. You guys are the highest educated, and when racial preferences or quotas come about, a bunch of you are going to get cut. Guess what? Easy, right? But if you're not even going to have that conversation because you're so scared, and you're scared about your white guilt, and you're hiding guilt, and you're hiding behind that, you're not even going to have that conversation, right? But guess what? It's okay to talk about race. It's okay to recognize you're a black woman, you're a Hispanic man. I mean, that's okay. The society's training us to do that, so let's talk about it. Let's play on their turf. You can't be like, I'm above that. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes we've been making. So another group we targeted was Latina women. So this was really very interesting, because we found that in California, a lot of Latina women are in skilled professions such as X-ray technician, paralegal, all of these things that require like an AA degree. And we found out through just focus groups that they were resentful of people that got in based on the color of their skin, because they work 2 jobs. They're single moms. They're working 2 jobs just to go to school at night. And guess what? Do they really want someone leapfrogging over them? I think not. So we did surprisingly well with Latino women. In fact, I believe, don't quote me on this, I believe we actually won them. If not, we came very close. So it's amazing what you can do with the right messaging. And the message is the most important thing, because if you don't have a good message, you're amplifying, you know what they say, lipstick on a pig, or you're amplifying zero, right? You know, you can put all the money in, but if you don't have a good message and a good core, it's going to amount to nothing. And I've seen that. I've seen a lot of money, a lot of grassroots money go into really bad messages, and they go nowhere. Think about all those damn flyers you get and mailers from election cycle. Where do those go? Landfill, right? Most of them are so generic. But guess what? If you actually did a good job messaging, you'll get that person's attention for a split second. But it's also lazy. You have these consultants sucking our movement dry, okay? And that's something that why I love the grassroots. You know, I hang out in a lot of circles. You know, I'm, part of some of the elite groups. And, I'm telling you, they just do not have the right idea. The grassroots is where it's at. And in 2016, when we got our president in, that was the most amazing moment, because it showed that the grassroots now have enough power that even with less money, we can win elections. And that is certainly what we did with Prop 16. Did you know that we only had $1.5 million in one of the PACs? There's several groups that contributed it, which I'll get to. But overall, we had just about $1.5 million, and the other side, the Yes on 16 side, had $17 million, and we still by 14 points. It's not a money game anymore. Anyone that wants to tell you that has no inspiration, no heart. I just love Sonya. I mean, she's come up. She's got fire. She is a example of the type of person that will be able to amplify a message without having to have that money injected in, like all this big money that the elites play with. That makes no impact on elections anymore. Maybe a little, but not enough these days. But I wanted to transition to my second point. So I talked about messaging. The second point is about coalition building. And this is something that I think conservatives and people on our side, especially in light of things like critical race theory, are notoriously horrible at. We don't know how to play in the same sandbox. We are constantly like, this is my group, and this is what I want to shut other people out. I don't want to help other groups. That is the reason why the left always does so much better than we do. Because we don't know how to play with each other. We don't know how to uplift each other. And we don't know how to give credit where due. Don't you agree, guys? We need to get better about that. Because synergy doesn't mean 1 + 1 = 2. It's actually way more if we just work together and not care about where the credit goes. And let me transition back to Prop 16. What happened with the official campaign, okay, is they tried to call it the official campaign. Let me tell you this. Let me tell you a dirty secret in politics. There is no official campaign. Every citizen can go out and create their own groups and fill in where needed. And this official campaign, which I was part of, I was the director of outreach, started becoming very controlling about messaging, about branding. Oh my God, the stuff that I think is so, a waste of time at times. You agree with something and you run with it, right? So they were trying to control it to the point that volunteers that wanted to be part of the campaign felt so shut out. The best thing happened. They started their own groups. All these yard signs started popping up in San Gabriel Valley, and I was like, that's not part of our campaign, but heck yeah, that's awesome. Citizens are going out and doing their own thing. Why do we need to control that? That's none of my business. They can do what they want, and it's adding to the cause. And this spread like wildfire because we had Northern California, Southern California, a lot of these groups just started doing their own thing. And I said, this is why we won Prop 16. It was a combination of good messaging and a combination of so many different groups doing their own thing, very focused. And that's another thing I wanted to bring up. And I know that was kind of mentioned with what Arthur's doing, what Harriet had mentioned about, in her last slide about what to do. The neighborhood is so underrated. We try, sometimes we get so big picture and just think about national level and this and that. But you know how many opportunities there are to wake people up in your own neighborhood? Have you thought about doing a barbecue? Have you thought about inviting your neighbors over and maybe just talking about issues that affect you guys on a local level, like that road that hasn't been fixed, that with the potholes that you drive through every day? I mean, these are the things that you can have in common with people that don't get taken advantage of because you're too busy thinking higher level, thinking that you must go to Sacramento or to DC to make some change. I mean, that is really, there's a lot of delusions of grandeur, at the end of the day. Can you focus on your local community? That's why I'm always thinking about my local community. I do lots of bread drives. I do lots of networking events because you know what? If you bring the local people in, and I've seen this with my organization, we're a business organization, but I just do stuff, and I'm very political. People know that. You Google me, you can see how political I am. But people that are Democrats or people that are on the other side still engage with me because guess what? They love free food. So, that's common. That's something we all have in common, right? So I'm like, yeah, come on here and let me red pill you, And it's amazing. What was so funny was on the November election, the day after the election, I was the most calm. I was like, yeah, this sucks. But, I had people that were not political and had told me in the beginning, I don't like politics. I don't want to engage in that. Call me crying. I'm like, calm down. It's all good. So, to sum up, thank you so much, for letting me speak. And hopefully you came away with some good nuggets. The good message is important. Coalition building is important. And let's work together on a local level. Thank you so much.
Excellent job. Thank you, Mr. Marc Eng. It's always a pleasure. Love hearing you speak. I'm going to welcome our next guest, but before I do, if there's any index cards that we need to collect, please do so. And if anyone needs index cards, please give that to them as well.